Generators are broken in Dead by Daylight. There are several flaws in their design that you might not have even realized, but have actually been hindering the flow of gameplay for a while now. These issues are in large part due to the changes behavior have made to gens and co-op gens over the years. Currently, it takes 90 seconds for a survivor to finish a generator, and well, there are other mechanics. And the result of those mechanics is an inability for many killers to keep up, and a pushing of survivors towards some boring playstyles. Let's get into the killer stuff first. So yeah, killers have a hard time keeping up, but the killers with powers they need to set up or build up struggle the most with this. So the main one is Trapper, which, man, Trapper has never been the strongest killer in this game, even in the beta when he was the only killer. I think the toolboxes caused more actual deaths than the Trapper ever could. You used to be able to sabo destroy bear traps so they were unusable, hooks didn't respawn, and brand new parts used to instantly finish entire generators. But yeah, changing gens would give Trapper more setup time. Hagen Demo would also partially benefit from this. Myers needs time to build up his power, and unless you're using those add-ons, he'll have an easier time keeping up. This partially applies to the Onryo's secondary power, and more time between gens popping would allow Pig to use all of her reverse bear traps more often. Now that we've covered the killer stuff, let's get into the big mechanic that has been hindering both killer and survivor alike. Currently, survivors working on gens work at a rate of 1 charge a second, and since gens have 90 charges, it takes 90 seconds for one survivor to finish a generator. The problem comes in with a mechanic behavior implemented to prevent gen rushing, which did the opposite.
Good job so far.
For each person working on a gen, there is an added 15% penalty to repair progress. So instead of 2 survivors each doing 1 charge a second, they will each do 0.85 charges a second, 3 survivors do 0.70 charges a second, and all 4 survivors do 0.55 charges a second. So to put that in a way you can understand, 1 survivor can finish a gen in 90 seconds, 2 in about 53 seconds, 3 in about 43 seconds, and 4 in about 41 seconds? Wait, why is the riskier, more fun way to do generators the optimally punished one? This is completely backwards. The most optimal and safest way for survivor squads to do generators is to split up. If the killer is AFK, 4 survivors can each turn on their own separate generator in 90 seconds. So 90 seconds happens and bang, 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 1 gen left. In the same scenario, if the killer shows up to a generator that has a survivor working on it, obviously that survivor is going to run, so that generator is no longer making progress. But that's okay, because if 1 survivor is getting chased, the survivors go from their combined 4 charges a second to 3 charges a second. So 90 seconds hits and bang, 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 2 gens are left, and 1 already has some progress. Even if that chased survivor got downed and hooked before those gens turned on, 1 survivor would get off their generator to go save them, making it 2 charges a second, and then the killer found another survivor working on a gen that makes the 2 charges a second into a 1 charge a second. So even if a survivor is hooked, someone is going for the save, and someone is getting chased, the 4th survivor is still contributing their 1 charge a second, slowly adding to the progress the team needs to do. Compare this to the risky all survivors on 1 generator play, which only does a combined 2.2 charges a second and drops to 0 if the killer shows up before the 41 seconds it would take to finish a gen. You gotta be kidding me. Behavior's all like,
don't you want to be a good little survivor, huh? Good! Now go gen rush the hell out of that Trapper.
I also want to point out again that the difference between 3 survivors on a gen and 4 survivors on a gen is less than 2 seconds. So ultimately, this mechanic pushes survivors away from riskier strategies towards more boring tactics, and killers have to counter optimal gen rushing way more often than they should. When I play Survivor, I want to work on gens with my friends before the killer shows up and we all panic. And when I play killer, I don't want to deal with sweat squads every match. I want to have fun. Please. I want to have fun. So let's fix this. First thing is remove the co-op gen penalty. It does not prevent gen rushing, it promotes it. Now that that's done, we need to compensate by making gens take longer. We do this by adding charges, but how many do we add? Currently, the safe strat, which is having each person on a separate generator and then splitting up into groups of 2 on the last gen, takes about 143 seconds of gen time. The fast strat, having each person on a separate gen and then all coming together for the last gen, takes about 131 seconds of gen time. Removing the penalty but adding 0 charges would make gens fly by too quickly, as the total amount of gen progress would remain the same, but both the fast and safe strategies would be faster than before. Notice, however, that the risky tactic and safe tactic have a larger time difference now that the co-op penalty is removed. That's a good thing. Let's try adding 10 charges to each gen. So each generator that needs to be complete now has 100 charges, and the total amount of progress that needs to be active is 500 seconds. The risky strategy would take 125 seconds of gen time, which is faster than the old time, but the safer strat would now take 150 seconds, which is slower. This is really good, actually, but let's continue for the experiment's sake. Let's add 20 charges to each gen. So now each gen has 110 charges and the active progress required is 550 seconds. The risky strategy would take 137.5 seconds of gen time, which is slower than the old time, and the safer strat would now take 165 seconds, which is way slower. To be honest, the 100 charge gens seem like the way to go, as it fixes the issues without deviating too far from the current game times. 110 charges is a bit more severe, but if a PTB test of this generator change goes by too fast, then 110 could be implemented instead. Stop! We're not done yet. There's a problem. We need to fix the perks and add-ons. When it comes to killer add-ons, currently none of them make changes to generator times. Good. There is one survivor add-on we do need to tweak though, the brand new part. Because this add-on works by adding generator percent progress instead of charges, it technically gets buffed from adding charges to gens. Just make the add-on work on charges, not percent, and it'll be fine. All right, now perks. Oh, there's so many. Okay, survivor first. Prove thyself. As it stands right now, prove thyself works to counteract the co-op penalty, but since we are removing that penalty, we need to rework it. Otherwise, it'd be broken. So now, prove thyself works by giving the user and cooperating survivors 5% repair speed when within 4 meters. It is only 5% regardless if there are 2, 3, or 4 survivors, and you can only be affected by 1 prove thyself at a time. The reason I'm going with this is this makes the perks still pretty usable, but also more in line with the other generator boosting perks, which I'm getting to now. Deja Vu doesn't need any changes. 5% speed on Origens is fine. Friendly competition is fine as well. 5% speed to survivors who finish gens together for a time is fine. This perk is good for splitting up after finishing a generator together. If anything, make the duration of the bonus last longer than its current 75 seconds. That'll make the perk better. Quick Gambit is kinda bad, to be honest. It's kinda garbo. 8% repair speed to others while you're being chased nearby. It's fine, leave it. Resilience is also fine. 9% speed to like everything is fine considering that you have to be injured. There's a huge risk in being injured while doing tasks, so honestly that's perfectly fine. Spine Chill, 6% repair speed if the killer is looking at you and is nearby. This is fine. Honestly, Spine Chill doesn't see that much use anymore, so honestly this might see a buff technically to Spine Chill, I guess. Overzealous needs to be nerfed. As of patch 6.7.0, cleansing or booning a totem gives a 10% repair speed bonus until you take damage, and this is doubled to 20% if the totem was a hex. That is very strong considering it works with booning now, which is basically unlimited. So just have the amount honestly to 5% normal and 10% for hexes, and that seems fair. Okay, survivor perks that change generator percents directly. Fast track is fine. It gets a slight buff from this, so cool. Potential energy is garbage. It has a higher risk and higher reward now, but there's way too many drawbacks to using this perk. Either remove the loss of charges when taking damage, or make the charging process 1-to-1, not 1.5-to-1. Change one of those, not both, and then the perk will actually be usable. Stakeout and Hyper Focus are fine. They both get a tiny buff from this update as they work on great skill checks, and great skill checks grant 1% gen progress, so neat. Technician is fine. If anything, reduce the progress loss on failed skill checks by 1%. That's about it. Honestly, it's fine as it is, but if you need to do something, do that. Perks that charge from generators. Blast Mine and Flashbang are totally fine. They will take a little longer to charge. If that's really a problem, then make them time-based and not percent-based. Same thing with Wiretap. It's fine, or make it work at 30 seconds. Alright, let's move on to killer perks, starting with killer perks that decay generators. There is actually a few that change here. Call of Brine and Overcharge don't need to be changed. Behavior nerfed them hard as of patch 6.7.0, so they're fine. Pain Resonance was nerfed by Behavior 2, so that doesn't need to change. If anything, it gets better with our update, so awesome. Eruption should be mildly nerfed to lose 9% progress instead of its current 10%. That way, both versions reduce 9 charges at a time. Apply the same logic to Jolt. Make it regress 7.5% instead of 8%. Huntress's Lullaby is dumb, but maybe nerf the regression on failed skill checks to 5% instead of 6%, I guess. Ruin is trash. Behavior nuked it. Why is a Hex worse than Call of Brine? That makes no sense. Make it regress at 125 speed like Call of Brine. Pop Goes the Weasel is outclassed. Make it regress 20 charges or no percent progress bullcrap. Just make it a flat amount. Don't make it the percent done. Alright, perks that slow survivors. Pentimento needs to be nerfed in this update. 30% speed penalty is too much. Make the new percent 20% speed penalty to gens, 25% to healing, 30% to recovery, 35% to exits, and then the last one makes them all blocked off as normal. Dying Light is trash. Rework it. I'm not gonna tell you how. Maybe I'll do a perk rework video if people want, but honestly, do whatever you want with this. Gift of Pain is fine. Otherwise, nerf it to 15% slow instead of 16%. Thanatophobia is whatever. If it becomes a problem, remove the bonus 12% slow to repairs specifically. Otherwise, leave it. Perks that activate from gen progress. Merciless Storm should activate 10 charges before the generator completes. 10 seconds max of Merciless Storm, please. Otherwise, it'll be hell if gens get changed to 110 charges or higher. You'll get 20 seconds of Merciless Storm. Like, yeah, that's fine. Also, fix the bug. Tinkerer is fine. It gets a small buff from this update, so great. And that's it. I feel all these changes are fair and good to make, and this update would still be able to work with my camping fix video. Funny that. Wow. Go check out that video if you want to see how I fix camping for both survivors and killers. Impressive, I know. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like what I do, send this video to a friend. If you think this plan is garbage, let me know. Genuinely. I was actually going to create some mechanics to make generators less boring, but this video is long enough. So maybe I'll do a different video about some new fun experimental gen mechanics, you know? More stuff to come. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.